Entitled Sister is upset I strategically seated her at my wedding to avoid capturing her breastfeeding moments on camera. I, 29 female, just got married to my husband a week ago. My sister, 31 female, has a 5-month-old baby, and both were at the wedding. I don't really like my sister's personality, and her partner broke up with her a few months ago because she allegedly was an exhibitionist, and our side of the family are starting to see why he left her. My sister would usually breastfeed openly in public, and although I don't have a problem with breastfeeding your child, I do think I'm not really tolerant of how she does it. Most women in my community will breastfeed in public too, but will ensure they move to a more private spot, not the bathroom, or bring nursing covers. And I don't think it's sexist at all, because I see that as a courteous thing. Being as kind as I can about my sister, I think she likes to make a statement and challenge the status quo ever since she was a child. She's the type to flaunt about how she doesn't give a fuck what others think about her and how she acts in public. So yeah, she's got some issues of her own, because I cannot imagine someone being this angry at the world for no good reason. Moving on to my wedding. I had a videographer panning the camera in the center of the aisle as I walked down, which means guests would be in plain view. My sister doesn't carry bottles with her, and she would start nursing whenever the baby needs to eat. I didn't want this captured on camera and wanted to avoid any possibility of that happening, because aesthetics. So I situated her in one of the middle rows to ensure she's concealed either way. The rest of the family, including my cousins, were seated in the front row. I also requested the cameraman to avoid taking pictures of guests in case she's openly breastfeeding during the reception as well. My bridesmaids on the wedding day managed to handle my sister, as I later got to know she threw a stink about feeling neglected, and hardly any pictures captured with her and her baby. Apparently, she had been nursing, maybe also to calm the baby down. Therefore, the camera guy hired requested her to step out of the frame several times. Not gonna lie, this made me want to tip him a little extra. Haha. This has been a pattern of hers at several family events. She also has a 2-year-old daughter who was present too. That's how we were able to discern this pattern from the past, and even some work events that she used to attend with her partner. All of us have made an effort in the past to communicate with her, but she gets argumentative, and I didn't want to have to deal with that and her drama. I don't care about being called prude. I don't want someone's photo/video with their chest out on my wedding, regardless of context. Am I the asshole?
I found out that my best friend's husband is cheating on her, but she still believes his lies. Claire, 30 female, and I, 30 female, have been friends since our freshman year of high school. We met in our science class and bonded over the fact that we both hated science. We both had other friends, but we became each other's best friends. We talked for hours on the phone almost every night. We dressed up as duos for Halloween. We went to college together, roomed together, roommates after college. You get the idea. We were besties. She had a younger brother and I had an older brother, and we became the sisters we both never had. Sounds cliche, I know, but we considered ourselves lucky that we had our science class together that year. Her parents were in the middle of a divorce, and I think it helped her to have someone understand and talk to her about it. She met her now husband through a coworker. They started dating 5 years ago and have now been married for 3. He was good to her and made her feel loved, and I never had any issues with him. They seemed happy together. Last week, Claire asked if I wanted to grab dinner because she wanted to talk to me about something that had been bothering her. She told me that she felt like her husband was having an affair. She wanted me to help her figure out if her husband was cheating on her. Claire said she knows the consequences of accusing him without proof, but she has this gut feeling that she can't shake. We made a plan for me to follow her husband on the night he had to work late. I understand how crazy this sounds now that I'm writing this out, but stick with me. I agreed to her plan, and she said he told her he had to work late Thursday night. I didn't have any concrete plans and was able to do what she needed. Well, I confirmed her suspicions. He left his office and met up with the woman at a hotel bar for about an hour, and then they went upstairs to her room, I assume. He was touching her leg at the bar, and she was laughing with him and putting her hand on his shoulder. I would be uncomfortable if my boyfriend was at the bar touching another woman like this. I snapped pictures of his hand on her thigh and of them walking to the elevator to go upstairs, and then I left. I went to my friend's house, and she was beside herself with the evidence. I sent her the pictures so she would have them on her phone. I never heard back from her that evening. I called her the next morning, and my call was declined. Rang 2 times and went to voicemail. I texted her and did not hear anything back. By lunch, I was concerned and called again. Declined. Sent a voicemail. I called her office and she was out of the office today, but I could leave a message. She lives too far from my office to stop by on my lunch break. I heard nothing all afternoon and I was genuinely concerned for her. We normally talk at least once throughout the day. I went directly to her house after work. Her husband answered the door and she was standing behind him crying. He said he knew that I had fabricated pictures of him at a hotel and sent them to his wife. He said he was disgusted that I would try to break up their marriage. From behind him, Claire yelled something like she trusted me and couldn't believe that I would try to ruin her marriage, and that his colleague confirmed to her that he was at work until 10 p.m. She didn't understand why I would make fake images of her husband at a bar. He said that he always knew that I didn't like him and was just waiting for an opportunity to get him out of the picture, which is completely untrue. I never had a problem with him until recently when Claire told me about her concerns, and I agreed that he had been acting differently. My best friend believes her husband over the actual proof that I provided at her request. He told me that they wanted me to leave and to never come back. I was in freaking shock. So now I'm here, completely heartbroken, asking what I should do. My friend is being cheated on by her husband. His reaction confirms that I'm 100% certain of what I saw. I didn't fabricate pictures to try to break up their marriage. My friend asked me to do something and I did it. She's been my friend for 15 years. She was basically my sister, so I didn't hesitate. Do I try to convince her that her husband is lying? Do I sit back and let this play out? I am heartbroken over losing my friend, but I also feel if she was able to believe her husband so quickly over the evidence I gave her, that maybe there's nothing I can do. Conflicted is the word, I guess. I would appreciate advice because I just don't know where to go from here. My boyfriend told me to back off and just let it play out. He believes Claire's husband is cheating and is confused as I am by the situation. Claire knew her husband was lying and manipulative. His reaction to her cheating accusation scared her, so she played the part of believing him, waited 6 days for him to go out of town for business, and then called me. And together we packed her stuff and she moved in with me. We immediately contacted an attorney and started the divorce proceedings. He came home, flipped out, showed up at my house, and the police were called. He backed off after that.
I am about to break up with my boyfriend because he bought a car tire. And I don't think I'm being dramatic about it at all. It is important to note that there's actually a third person involved in this story, of course. And that is my boyfriend's best female friend, who, let me tell you, somehow cannot seem to do anything for herself because anytime she faces any minor inconvenience, she calls my boyfriend. A few nights ago, I was sitting on the couch with my boyfriend when he gets a frantic phone call from this girl, and she is devastated, in tears, like hyperventilating. And I am like very concerned. Like, what is wrong? She sounds like something horrible is happening. Turns out that she ran over a nail on the road. And it's not even like she was stranded anywhere. She made it home. She was sitting in her living room just crying about that there was a nail in her tire. Okay, like, yeah, it sucks, but like, not really the end of the world. So my boyfriend, being the hero that he is, rushes over to her rescue. He said it was to see if the tire was salvageable. It's not. There's a nail in the tire. She's going to have to get a new tire. Like, what are you going there to do for her? He was over there for a very long time. He comes back a few hours later and he's talking about how brave she was being. She's being so brave. So brave. She's being so brave. And that, you know, he figured it out and he took care of it. Thank God. Thank God that my boyfriend was there to help her out. Because not like she's AAA or anything. She does have AAA. She could have called AAA. Something to know about me is that I have a rainy day fund. And anytime I have a little bit extra money or I get money for a gift, I put it into my rainy day fund. And that's literally just like if I want to go on vacation or do something special for myself, I'll dip into my fund. So obviously, you know, this whole situation, it stressed me out a little bit, and I decided that I deserved a massage. So I go to my bedside table and I grab the envelope that is supposed to have my rainy day fund money, except there was no money in there. Nothing. Like, not a single dollar. So I'm digging through my bedside table because there's no way there's a thief among us. There's not a thief in my household, okay? This rainy day fund has been there forever. Like, my friends know I have it, my boyfriend knows I have it, and no one's ever touched it before, so just really weird. Like, it didn't even cross my mind that somebody could have stolen the money just because, you know, maybe I expected the best. Wrong. That was wrong of me. So I rush out to the living room, and I'm in tears. I mean, like, obviously, a ton of my money is just gone, and I run out to my boyfriend, and I'm like, oh my gosh, have you seen my rainy day fund? And he goes, as a matter of fact, I have seen it. This man looks me dead in the eyes and tells me that he went into my bedside table, took out all of my rainy day fund, and used it to buy his best girlfriend a new car tire. So obviously, like, my first question is, why didn't you ask me if you could borrow the money or take the money or whatever he was planning on doing? And why didn't you tell me? And he was like, well, first, it was just an emergency. Like, she really needed a new tire because she needs her car to get to work, and she didn't have the funds to get it. First of all, I see that girl's Instagram. She is out like 4 times a week. So if she doesn't have funds to get a new tire, it's because she doesn't budget. Like, okay, you cannot be going out 4 times a week and then being like, I can't afford a new tire. And then he says, you didn't actually need that money anyway. That's why it's a rainy day fund. It just made more sense to me. I thought it was the right thing to do, to give it to her since, she could use that money for something she really needed. So whose money though? Not her money, not your money, my money. My money. It doesn't matter what I was planning on using it for. You can't just go, you stole my money. Now, you may be wondering, why didn't my boyfriend just pay for the tire himself? It's because he bought a new Xbox, so he didn't have the income because he used his rainy day fund. I can't. I really need that massage now, but I can't get one. So then obviously I ask, well, when am I going to get paid back? And he looks at me dumbfounded and is like, paid back? What do you mean paid back? Oh my God, that's all you can think about? You are so selfish. I'm selfish? It's my money. It's not even like that girl is nice to me either. She is so rude to me every time she sees me. So it's like, I just don't understand. Like, I'm in the wrong. I'm the bad guy here. You stole my money. I truly never would have guessed that a car tire would be the catalyst to the end of my relationship. But, always expect the unexpected. And even though I kicked him out, don't worry. He has a place to stay because his best girlfriend has been so accommodating of him. I was attempting to have a peaceful morning. Because at about 8:30 a.m., there is a very aggressive banging on my front door. And I just knew it. I could feel it in my bones what was about to happen. So when I opened my door, I expected to see my boyfriend angrily storm in. But what I did not expect was to see that his little girl best friend was following in right behind him. And they just make themselves at home, walk right in, and just plop themselves down on the couch. Like, I'm sorry, what? No warning. Could have given me a little heads up, a little call, nothing. And he is just sitting there looking at me, not saying anything. So finally I'm like, okay, so what are you doing here? And he goes, I wanted to give you the opportunity to apologize to both of us. I was like, okay, hold up, rewind the track, because I must be living in some kind of fever dream if you just told me that I should be apologizing to both of you. And I was sitting there looking like the blinking man meme, and he just continued. He was like, the way that you handled this situation, I just thought reflected really poorly on your character, because you should want to help out someone that means so much to me. And I was like, hold up. What do you mean? You stole my money. That's what happened here. It's not like you came to me, was like, hey, can I borrow some money to help her out? You just took the money and then didn't say anything about it until I noticed it was missing. And what was even worse is Girly is sitting on the couch why are you here? Why? And I actually said that. I was like, okay, also, why are you here? I can't. Anything I think, it just comes right out of my mouth. It's like, what are you doing here? And he was like, don't speak to her like that. Speak to her in my home. I wasn't even being rude. I was just curious, why is she here? But also I realized that this was the perfect opportunity to get my questions answered. The biggest one being, where is the rest of my money? Because if you bought her one tire, the math ain't mathing, because there should have been a lot left over. And that's when she pipes in, because he's looking nervous. He doesn't really say anything. And she's like, well, we didn't want all the tires to be worn differently, so it just made sense to buy me a whole new set. I swear, I could literally feel my eyes starting to twitch. I was like, a whole new set? A whole new set? The fact that I kept my cool and did not actually combust into flames whenever I was told this is very impressive. So I literally say, oh, a whole set? Wow. What a generous guy. What a generous guy. I'm so lucky, and I feel like I've been so lucky for the time that I've been his girlfriend. And I think that it's unfair for me to continue to take all of his time and take away the opportunity from other women who could have the opportunity to date such an amazing man. So I'm gonna let him go for the benefit of others. And he's like, you're kidding, right? And I was like, absolutely not. Get your stuff and get out of my apartment. So he is huffing and puffing while starting to gather his things that were at my apartment. And his little best friend is behind him like, it's okay, like, she never deserved you. You could do so much better, like, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm just sitting on the couch drinking my latte, like, good riddance. Like, I hope I never hear from either of you again. But I knew what was coming next. You see, there was just no way that I was gonna let this crusty, musty man steal from me. So, not only did I go and sell his Xbox, but that actually didn't make up all the money he took. So I went into the closet and saw the brand new pair of Air Jordans that his best girlfriend had got him for his birthday. And I had absolutely no problem taking those and just selling them. So eventually, he realized that these things were missing and came to the living room and said, hey, like, where are my shoes? Where's my Xbox? And I said, I sold them. And his face turned bright red, literally like a fire truck. He's like, you can't do that, like screaming. You can't do that. You can't just like sell my things. I was like, I'm sorry. I thought there was a rule in this household that we could just take what isn't ours. I didn't realize that. I mean, you did it. I'm so sorry. Wow. I just thought we could just take whatever we wanted in here. And he just continues to yell, and his little girlfriend is like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you. Like, that was a birthday gift. And I'm just standing there like, and then I tell him, actually, you still owe me like $40, but I'll call it even if you never speak to me again. And he did not like this one either. Continues yelling. Eventually, his little girlfriend's like, let's just go. Like, she's not even worth it. And he's screaming like, this isn't over. This isn't over. And I'm like, babe, this is so over. So as of now, that's where it stands. But if, he does anything else super crazy, I'll let y'all know.
If somebody ever wants to switch seats with you on an airplane, please just say no thank you and save yourself the trouble. Because these people don't have good intentions, and this happened to me, and the person ended up getting escorted off the plane by security. Okay, it's a 5 a.m. flight, and I'm exhausted. I planned accordingly. I get to my window seat back in like row 20, and I want to just close my eyes. But I wake up to a tap on the shoulder, and it's a man in his early 40s who's looking at me going, hey, you mind switching seats with me? I'm a little startled. There's no one sitting next to me yet. I'm just like, what is going on? And I ask him, because I'm curious, oh, why? And he goes, well, my 2 kids are on this flight and they're in the seats next to you. I wasn't able to find 3 seats altogether, so I'm kind of further up on the plane. I'm in row 7, so you're actually going to end up getting off the airplane earlier than a lot of people. It's going to save you like a lot of time on your trip. Like, you just find switching with me, it's no big deal. There's no kids with him. I'm looking around, there's nobody by him. There's no one in my seats, there's no one next to him. I'm tired, I don't really want to get up. I was like, you know what? I'm just like a little bit tired. I don't feel like going through the hassle of like moving stuff around. He's like, seriously, it's like not a big deal. I'll just show you where my seat is. I'll move your stuff up there for you too. Like, no big deal at all. I go, honestly, like, I'm just kind of tired. I just would rather like sit here. Where are his kids? If your kids are grown and they're not with you, if they're little kids you're trying to sit next to, they'd be right next to you. So then I ask him, I say, where are your kids? And he goes, why do you want to know? How old are these children? I say, I don't see any kids. He goes, they're on the front of the plane getting their bags still, like they'll be back here soon. This makes me think that these kids are older. And so for even more reason, you don't really need to sit by them. Even if they're young kids sitting on an airplane, you're gonna be fine. We're all on the plane. It's not like they can go anywhere. It's not like they can just get off at a bus stop. We're gonna be in the sky. Okay, they're gonna be fine. I'm like, you know what? I like, they're not even back here. I don't wanna deal with it. Like, I'm gonna just lay here. And he goes, you're serious? You're not gonna let a father sit next to his kids? At this point, people are looking at us, and this is like oh, I just wanted to get on the airplane early to not have to deal with anything. So I'm like I'm sorry that like there weren't 3 seats next to each other. I just don't want to move my seat. Like, and he kind of goes, whatever, and like walks up to the front of the plane. I thought that was gonna be that. I thought we were gonna be done. Then he gets back there and he's standing with 2 people who I'm thinking are walking past to his seats, and they're like, can you please just like switch seats with our dad? This kid is like my age. This kid is my age. Trying to get me to switch seats so he can just sit next to, I'm like, these kids aren't young, like these kids aren't little. You don't need to sit next to these people. And I literally kind of have like this look on my face because I'm processing this all in real time. I'm just like, honestly, I don't want to move seats. I was like, you guys seem like capable enough to be like sitting without your dad. Like, is there something that you like need to do or taught, like, do you never get to see each other or something? And he was just like, why don't you understand that we want to sit together? Like, just move seats. It's not that big of a deal. I'm getting berated now because I'm just sitting in my seat, minding my own business, not wanting to change seats. Him and his younger brother, they're yelling at me. Their dad's like talking to me. I'm like not even getting loud. I'm just like, guys, I don't want to move my seat. At this point, a flight attendant comes back and asks what the problem is. The man says that I am sitting in his seat. He's like, he took my seat. I'm sitting next to my 2 kids and he won't get up. What? I am not sitting in, I'm like, this is my seat. I was like, he just asked me to switch seats with him. And the person's like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. He just sat down in our seat. I'm trying to get him to go up in the front. He's sitting in row 7. What is this man trying to pull right now? Like, I literally have a plane ticket. So I pull up my plane ticket and I show it to her. And she asks him, like, can you show me your ticket? And he's like, no. Like, he obviously just stole my ticket. It's a freaking electronic device, bro. I didn't steal your ticket. So I'm getting, like, really heated. And I'm not a person who wants to, like, get into arguments or anything. I'm like, he asked me to switch seats with me, okay? He's sitting in row 7. His 2 kids are sitting next to me. Look at them. They're grown men. He can sit in the front and they'll sit back here. And after this 2-hour flight, they will be reconnected with each other. It is 5 a.m. I'm exhausted. I do not want to deal with this. This dude loses his mind. He starts screaming at me, calling me all the names in the book. The flight attendant's trying to call him out. People who are like, the flight is like pretty bored at this point. They're like all watching him. His son is trying to calm down. Like, don't blow your cap. Like, don't punch anyone. Don't hit it. Don't punch anyone. Now I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, sir, do not get aggressive. I'm going to have to escort you to your seat. As she starts walking him to his seat, both of his kids come to like sit down, but they're giving me like mean mugged looks. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize now I'm gonna have to sit next to these people on the flight. His dad breaks free from the flight attendant and starts like storming like over like to us. And people on the flight are kind of like sort of thing. And then like the one son like gets up and like grabs the dad and like holds him back. He's like trying to get at me at this point. The flight attendants are grabbing him. Sir, if you do not relax, we're gonna have to get you off this flight. And he is like red and fuming, wanting to throw hands. Everything's like going down. Another kid stands up. A person in the front like stands up, like yelling, what's going on back there? Like people are starting to panic because they don't even know what like this whole interaction is about. This ends with him getting taken off the flight and I get moved to a first class seat. And his kids sit back there, and he doesn't even get to fly on the plane with them. And it was exhausting. And just don't, if somebody asks you to switch seats, I started this saying don't switch. I don't know. Just, if you want to go on a trip, just plan it better. It really pissed me off.
My boyfriend's crazy ex fondled me. This whole nightmare started 6 months ago. I met this cute guy at my job. I'm a manager at a cafe and I'm there all day long. This cute boy started coming in and of course I noticed him right away. Now I'm in the process of trying to buy this cafe because I really want to own it and make it better than what it is. One day he just started talking to me out of nowhere. We spoke for about 4 hours. Even after the cafe closed, he stayed there and helped me close it. Told him about all the plans I had to make the cafe better and he started coming to the cafe every single day. Fast forward a few weeks, we go on our first date. Fast forward a couple months, he asked me to be his girlfriend and I said yes. But at this point, it was already too late because this is when he decides to tell me that he's got a crazy ex. She's a bodybuilder, literally looks like a man, like a scary, jacked up guy. She starts coming into the cafe out of nowhere. The thing is, I didn't know who she was. I just knew this scary, muscular woman would come in all the time and just stare at me. And when I told him about this, his face turned white. That's when he tells me, oh my gosh, I think that's my ex. I describe him to her and her tattoos, and he's like, yep, that's her. That's when he told me I needed to hire security. But I refused to because I didn't think she was going to do anything crazy. After closing up the cafe, I walked to my car, and there she was. Without saying a word, she punches me in the stomach. But let me remind you how big and muscular she is. She's like triple the size of me, pure muscle. She hit me so hard, I actually stayed on the ground for about 15 minutes just trying to catch my breath. When I looked up, she was gone. I called my boyfriend and he came with his best friend. That's when they told me that I seriously needed to get security and that he would walk me to my car every single night after closing my cafe. That very night, I broke up with him. There was absolutely no way I wanted this kind of drama in my life. I work almost all day. I do not have time for this. When I broke up with him, he said he understood but that he would fight for me. And this is when things just got even worse. Instead of backing off, his crazy muscular ex started coming around. Let's name her Jackie. Jackie would come to my cafe at least once a week. Whenever she tried to come in, I'd have one of my employees lock the door. If she couldn't come in, she would just stare at me through the window. This is when I started getting threatening messages. I also started getting threatening emails. This is where I messed up. I closed the cafe one night by myself. I walked to my car thinking nothing would happen. This is when I hear footsteps right behind me as I approach my car, and a guy grabbed me from behind, pushed me up against my car, and started manhandling me. He touched me everywhere. I screamed so loud he actually ran away, but I knew it was her. She tried to put her fingers in there. Luckily, I did not freeze. I physically pushed against her body and just started yelling at the top of my lungs. And she ran away. You want to know how I know it was her? Number one, I could feel a very muscular body behind me. And number two, I smelled her perfume. I remember I told you guys that she'd come into the cafe several times before. I knew it was her smell because she would pour perfume on herself. My boyfriend knew that she did this because she always went to the gym and was afraid of smelling bad. I got straight into my car and drove to the police station. Of course, I reported her. Police were able to recover footage from the parking garage, and that's when they could see a really big muscular person behind me. It was all caught on camera. I ended up breaking up with him. This is just way too much. He should have warned me that he had a stalker and that she was crazy. Anyway, the police went to look for her, and guess what? They couldn't find her. She apparently moved to a different country. Remember in part 1 I told you I was celibate? I will never date again. Literally never. He wants me back, but I keep saying no. Oh yeah, and I'm officially a business owner. The cafe is doing so well. Should I take him back or should I just leave it?
Am I the astronaut for fighting with my husband while he's away for a bachelor party? My husband, male 40, and I, female 34, are currently in a fight over his behavior at a bachelor party. I'm pregnant and possibly more emotional than usual. We usually text throughout the day, replying within minutes. He flew 2,000 miles for the party, and on one day he was slow to reply, 40 minutes to 1.5 hours, with short answers. I wasn't bothered initially, knowing they might be busy. However, after texting him asking their plans and being left on red for over an hour, I checked his location on Find My Friends and saw that he was at a day club pool bar. He finally texted saying that they had just arrived downtown for dinner, which was clearly untrue. When I called out the lie, he admitted that they were at the day club but were heading to dinner. The short text continued. The next morning, they were golfing, so I didn't expect much communication. I spent the afternoon with friends and learned that 2 weeks prior, he attended a strip club with the same friends during an overnight trip I wasn't on. He had told me that they were at a bar that evening, but did not mention going to a strip club. I don't care that he went to a strip club. It's the lack of transparency that bothers me. This news, along with the short text and the earlier lie about their whereabouts, set me off. I texted him about the strip club, and he FaceTimed me with his friends vouching that nothing inappropriate happened, making me look like an overreacting wife. He claimed the omission was at the groom's request to avoid pre-wedding issues, yet all the other wives knew. I ended the call more upset due to the lack of apology and feeling gaslit. He texted saying he doesn't keep secrets from me, and then stopped texting entirely. After 2 hours, I sent a passive-aggressive, well, good night, I guess, text. He replied that he thought the issue was resolved, then did not contact me for the rest of the evening. The next morning, I texted saying I felt like he'd been distant and ignoring me all weekend, asking why he didn't message me when they were out or returned to the hotel. He replied that I had killed the mood and made him miserable, accusing me of being unreasonable and embarrassing him by checking his location. He also said he couldn't wait until my girl's trip in 2 weeks to apply the same pressure, implying it's a competition. My trip, being 20 weeks pregnant and sober, will look very different than his, but maybe that's irrelevant here. He dramatically claims he rarely goes out with friends and will just stay home if we're going back to not trusting each other. But going back to not trusting each other, there's an interesting slip. Am I overreacting and being unreasonable? Am I wrong for wanting transparency? Am I the astronaut for picking a fight while he's away on a bachelor party trip?